Good afternoon, Chamber members, and welcome to the Friday video recap of this week's news and information from the COVID-19 crisis. My name is Mike Paone, and I'm the Vice President of Government Affairs here at the Joliet Region Chamber of Commerce and Industry. As always, we hope that you, your business, and your employees are all doing well in these times. This week, we mainly focused on the reemergence of PPP funds, the responsible reopening of the state economy, and possibilities of the next phase of funding. Let's start off today with the PPP review. Applications resumed Monday at 9:30 a.m. During the initial round of funding, the agency system was often overwhelmed by the volume of applications and was often inaccessible, delaying the processing of some loans. We had heard that the system was already overwhelmed this week, as early as an hour into the reopen. Each bank has been limited to 10% of the total $600 billion allocated so far in both rounds. $60 billion of the new round of funding has been set aside for small financial institutions with $50 billion or less in assets. Steps like this, and also a freeze-out that occurred on Wednesday of any lender with more than $1 billion in assets for an 8-hour time period, are meant to help all lenders have equal access for small business clients. Hopefully, this will erase the fear that additional funding could be exhausted in a matter of weeks, a fear that not enough will be available to meet demand, and a fear that the funding might not reach the entities that need it the most. It was also announced that any organization receiving more than $2 million will likely face an audit at some point. This upcoming Monday was the target date for the Senate and House to reconvene in Washington, D.C., but the House reversed course and announced that they will not reconvene on the 4th. When they do return, the Senate will have a head start on Phase 4 funding. With that said, here's what's going on with the CARES 2 Act update. According to Speaker Pelosi, Democrats will push for including almost $1 trillion in the next coronavirus relief package to help states and local governments hit hard by the pandemic. This has been doubled from the initial suggested amount of $500 billion. Republicans are drawing the line with their own demand centering around liability for businesses. They have come up with three main priorities. One, a narrow, targeted temporary provisions with respect to medical liability for healthcare providers. 2, liability for manufacturers that have been called on to rush products or create a product for the first time. And 3, exposure protection for all employers that have not been negligent and are following the rules and all procedures from employees and or customers that may contract the virus. This negotiation has been predicted to go back and forth numerous times until a compromise can be reached, which we're hearing most likely will be around Memorial Day. Additional reopening topics to be considered, in addition to the liability, include access to personal protective equipment, access to sanitization products, child care, and employee concerns versus current unemployment benefits. This week, the Illinois stay-at-home order was challenged. A judge from Clay County in southern Illinois ruled that Governor Pritzker exceeded his authority in issuing a statewide stay-at-home order. The lawsuit was filed by Representative Darren Bailey, and the judge's ruling now applies only to Bailey personally. Today, being May 1st, is the start to the extended stay-at-home order. The main changes to remember include mandatory face masks in public, offices, and retail where 6 feet of separation cannot be maintained. Essential businesses will need to provide for their employees the PPE if this distance cannot be followed for all employees and customers. Non-essential businesses will now be allowed to take phone or internet orders and set up delivery or curbside pickup. Also, golf courses, parks, greenhouses, and some other outdoor activities such as fishing and boating can be resumed. Please, though, check out the full extended order from Governor Pritzker on our COVID-19 resource page at www.JolietChamber.com to see all changes and what has stayed the same from the initial order. The Illinois Workers' Compensation Commission held an emergency board meeting on Monday to withdraw a controversial rule that would grant benefits to essential employees who become ill from the COVID-19 virus, even if the workers could not prove that they got the virus while on the job. This issue is not over in our minds, as it will likely come back in another form or as a piece of legislation. At issue is the overstepping of authority, as current law should be sufficient enough to show that your workplace is in fact where the virus was contracted. Looking forward, what will be the decision to have ballots in November mainly filled out and turned in via mail? This is sure to be a partisan fight until the end. Questions will arise over timing, paid return postage, witnesses, and of course fraud. Finally, let's not forget that on July 1st, the minimum wage will increase again. This increase will take us to $10 per hour, and then again on January 1, 2021, to $11 an hour. The July 1 increase comes 6 months after the last increase on January 1st of 2020. At this time, we need to be focusing on keeping businesses open and employees paid. An increase in the minimum wage is proven to eliminate jobs, and this current increase will certainly be no different. We have shared this feeling with our elected officials and urge you to do the same. Thank you this week to Nick Terrell and Edward Jones, as well as Congressman Bill Foster, for hosting webinars or video conferences for our membership. And we look forward next week as we provide 2 more video conferences, the first being on Wednesday with Sue Olnick from the Will County Health Department, and then on Friday with Joliet's Mayor Bob Odekirk. More information will be coming out in an email at the beginning of next week for registration for those 2 sessions. Finally, have a great weekend, and we hope that you all stay well.